Good morning, folks. Myself, Joe Wesley, and
Lizzy Gabor, how are you? Good morning, everybody.
okay, AKA, I guess that speaks the Aegis Angel. Is that ANGEL? Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, you are. That is
Okay.
my business name is Ageless Angel Essentials.
Ooh, mouthful.
Covers everything.
Sounds good to me. Well, basically, folks, thanks for joining us. For those of you who join us directly, we tend to get on a few moments early and share with you our kind of a background chatter stuff. We don't rehearse this. For those who are new to us, what is this all about? Well, Lizzy is respected very well in her ambiance or whatever. She carries a strong karma of mindfulness, wellness, and yoganish. Am I saying that correctly?
Yoganess. I love it.
Try to keep
My
the same,
yoganess.
yeah, try to keep the same ending on everything here. And she firmly believes, and she's demonstrated that one can be not only healthier but also more successful and be happier during the whole process of it. Well, I'm a left brain kind of guy. Logic and reasoning, Dr. Spock syndrome, and I'm very proud of it. So this yin and yang stuff just does not make any sense to me. So I'm challenging her to try to make sense to me. She is so confident when she's talking. Anyway, maybe it'll make sense to you or not. Share your comments, by the way, some homework here that you can view us through Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Remember, you can leave comments in every instance, but you must be signed into YouTube directly or through Google to lose yourself in this dialogue and to leave comments. And that's helpful to me, helpful to Lizzy, and remember to share this with other people. If you stumble across us in the middle of the day, that's okay too. Leave comments. We do audit those and we do come back on you. Anyway, normally what I do for these 15 minutes is I start off in a soliloquy of what this is all about. I can't even begin in this instance. One of the things that's chief with Lizzy is the issue of hugging. I got to look at my notes to get this correct. And she believes that it adds to her sense of well-being and health, I guess. I'm going to ask you to kind of explain that, and then I'll come in behind it with some questions.
Yes. Well, I think I don't know who said it, but they say that you need 4 hugs a day for survival, 8 hugs for maintenance, and 12 for growth.
I never heard
And
that
so,
before. Excuse me,
yeah,
I heard the water version. I never heard the hug version before.
yes. We have this skin hunger. There's all those studies about when babies aren't held that they don't thrive, and
Mm.
we're just bigger bigger babies. And so we have something like 4,000 inches of skin on our body, and for some people it's more important than others, depending on like I think we've discussed slightly about our love languages. But first, which cover, nurturing touch, which is mine,
Right?
words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, I can't remember what the last one is. So, for people like me, it's very essential.
Okay.
I learned the process in my training, in my coaching training, because my teacher included hugging the hug process as part of our training, and it was like we're like, what am I, this self success training,
Mm.
and we're hugging, but it really became this unbelievable thing that I witnessed and I was a part of, and it became something that I incorporated in my work, in my family, in my holidays.
I hear that. I hear that. But see, now my left brain clicks in. I got to ask you some questions. When they talk about
Wait,
drinking so many glasses of water a day, they talk about 8-ounce glasses. So do we give like 8 seconds of a hug versus a 3 second hug? Does that make a difference one
uh,
way or the other?
20 seconds is
Oh, 20
ideal.
seconds. Oh, geez. There's even a time for that, too.
20 seconds. And there's also a correct way to hug,
Oh,
Joe.
really? Now, what's the correct way to hug?
Yes, there is. Most people hug incorrectly. Well, there's a lot of incorrect ways, but in general, people hug right ear to right ear. That's
Right?
how you see it. If you start to now look for it, you'll see. And the
Yeah.
correct way is left ear to left ear, because then you're heart to heart. And it
Ah.
actually, no, it's tested. It's
No,
been
I'm
tested.
not arguing it. Just now I see the rationale behind it, if nothing else.
And it's interesting because once I started going left ear to left ear, I cannot go back. I can't. It's
Okay.
like, wait a minute, no, come back this way.
Okay.
Um,
So it's a 20 second you said hug. That's where it
I mean,
goes.
it's just, it's a nurturing hug where you can like, you fall into it a little bit. It's not there's the one people that hug. I could go into a whole thing about how the wrong way people hug, like,
That's gonna be my
like
next
they
question.
barely touch or
Yeah,
they
just
like,
this. There's this
like
strength of.
tap, or
Yeah,
they bat, like,
that
burping
was it.
baby, they hit you on the back like they're burping the baby, they squeeze you too hard. There's a lot of ways that are just not you're not going to get the same benefit as if you just do an actual coming into nurturing hug,
Now, what other
heart
kind
to
of
heart.
hugs are there? You say nurturing hug. Now, let me ask this differently. You say not don't overpower, don't underpower. Should I go out and get some kind of measuring device and how much pounds per square inch I exert on the body to make it meaningful? How does that stuff work?
Well, you practice, and then it's intuitive. You kind of, so when when you're there, and
No,
you
I don't. No, don't tell me I know. That's why we're doing this
well,
program,
that's
folks.
it.
I don't know these things.
Well, I got taught. I mean, literally, we got trained on how to do
Ah,
practice,
okay.
and then we would mill around the room. And I mean, there was a time where I had to go up to my teacher and say, "Listen, like that guy Joe over there is giving me a little bit of it's a little bit like feeling a little weird." Um,
Why my name?
not
Why did
you,
that come
Joe,
up?
not just a Joe.
Just comes to mind. I get that.
So like he would have to like then say to the group, and I've done this in classes, let's just go over again what's the ways that are appropriate, correct, and also man to man,
Right.
woman to woman. There was
Okay.
also some people who weren't comfortable because of religious reasons kissing, hugging the person of the opposite sex, and so you just respected that person just hugged same sex people in the exercise.
When you
uh,
talk about
yeah.
you talk about exercise and you talk about the over wanting hug, I think of these movies, the kissing scenes in these movies, and they sometimes how many times did you rehearse that? Now, quite honestly, I'm not a weird guy, by the way, but if I could see myself saying, "Hey, look, could I try that 3 more times? I'm not sure if I got it right." So do you went into that a whole lot with your hugging classes that you do?
Yes, we did. I mean, we usually did it after a meditation, like, and it was silent. It were silent hugs. So you would walk around the room and get as many hugs in a few minutes and then we do it again during the day at another point. And it was amazing. There was a woman who, in one of the weeks I was there, that had no arms, like literally nothing from her shoulder down, and you would hug her and you felt it so intensely, like it was so fascinating to me that and she did too, you
Mm-hmm.
felt just wrapped around by her, and she didn't even have arms, so
Okay.
it's a powerful tool.
Now, another thing that comes to mind as you're talking, I am listening, folks. That I see it like I call these network meetings when you have like 30 seconds per person, zing, 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 and I call that speed dating.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking of speed hugging in terms of making a connection. So have you ever picked up a new prospect or client or had people in your audience say, "Hey, that was a phenomenal hug. Let's do this again over a Zoom Connect or something." Does that ever happen in terms of these experience things?
No, not really. It was, but there definitely were like the people I mean, there was hundreds of people in the room. There were people that I would seek out because I knew that I would get a really good hug from.
Ah, I see.
So
So
they're not all created equal, but some people are just I guess the people that I really have that touch, nurturing kind of touch, love language were very proficient.
I hear that. Well, what kind of comes to mind, folks, and I'm not sliding on the slope on this one, but what comes to mind, I could see it works both ways, I would think. That not only do you get something out of it, but you get, no, it's a win-win. I hate to say it like that, but it's a win-win perhaps. That I can understand the ambience of the moment concept. And I guess I can intellectualize the flow of karma back and forth. But I could also see they talk about in business. Oh, because I'm still a left brain kind of guy. That if that momentary, whatever 15-second or 30-second or whatever the phrasing may be of duration, that if I feel there's a quote a connection, like I can see perfunctory hugs. However mechanically I go through it. Let me say this differently. But in that perfunctory hug, speed hugging, I call it, that there may be a hug that, hey, this had some magic to it,
Mm-hmm.
And this is maybe somebody I want to have further dialogue with. And I'm not going there. Some people go, I guess, for a personal level, and I get that, and emotional level, I get that. I want to make some business. And
Mm-hmm.
so if I'm looking for, to me, a good hug is somebody that there may be a connection here for further dialogue. So do people come for different reasons or getting hugs for different reasons in this scope of what you're talking about?
I mean, I think it's just in general, it's to have that nurturing experience with another person, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it does have all these benefits also health wise. You know, you are releasing those feel good hormones that we've talked about, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's oxytocin or whatever it's, um, and so it's health. They're healthy. Lungs
Mm-hmm.
are healthy. There's a lot of research on that. But yeah, I mean, I know, don't you know people in your life like that are really good huggers, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and there's people that are not so,
True.
but
And some I think rephrase that. As a kid, every hug was an overhug. That's just
yeah,
when an adult came to me. I was smothered. I was off my feet. So
yes,
those people
we
used
were
to
not
stood in my
taught,
head.
right? I don't think I wasn't taught how to hug.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, but a lot of men are taught how to shake hands, look in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it was interesting to see these big guys who were like, you know, from in the Marines, like they would falling after a while, these were days of doing this, falling into it in a way that was just like softening themselves. And, you know, it was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also, just based on what's going on now, as we know, I'm curious what's going to be happening in the future with hugs and seminars. But there's also you know, we have the ability to hug ourselves. You
Mm-hmm.
know, self hugging is also like really effective, to just hug yourself, you know, and kind of just give yourself a hug. You can
Okay.
also really get the same benefits
Mm.
in a lot of the ways. So I recommend that too for people who live alone, people who don't see, you know, um, have another person to hug on a regular basis, to get those
Mm-hmm.
4 or 8 or 12 a day, you know,
Okay.
to just give yourself an embrace, touch your heart, hug yourself. It'll enhance your mood, and
Mm-hmm.
again, release some of those good chemicals.
Interesting. And something comes to mind as I'm listening. See, I'm still left brain functioning, folks. That do animal hugs count also? You
Oh,
mentioned people that certainly people maybe who buy themselves perhaps as a lifestyle, and they always have an animal. I don't know how people carry goldfish and turtles. I don't get that perhaps. But having said that, I can see you can pick up an animal. Rephrase that. My wife, when we had a cat, she'd come home and from work. No, it's more on me. It's not my wife. I might come home. Hey, honey, how are you? I say the proper words. I'm so glad I'm home to be in your life again. But I'll go pick up the cat and hug it and rub against it and stroke her 30 minutes and toss it around and rub it some more because
oh,
that's my hug there. So she's giving me dirty looks and stuff like that while I'm doing all of this. So do animal hugs count also as
oh my
opposed to
gosh.
hugging?
Yes, they are like the best thing in the world. That's what I get my first hugs in the morning from my doggy. Well, sometimes my husband, but
Yeah, I know the
I
political
mean,
correctness. I
she
get
comes,
that.
she comes out of her little, you know, sleeping area, and just is just all over me, hugging, and I get them all day. Whenever she runs in and jumps in here, she barks she sits on the chair, barks until I come over and hug her. Oh,
Okay.
it is so heart filling. So
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend that for people who are able to take care of an animal, and you know, have that for that reason.
And the interesting part about that, again, I'm connecting the dots on this, that during the COVID-19 shelter in place, the issue of getting pets increased.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so I guess I never thought about it like that, but it kind of, it's not like you get a dog because you want to walk the dog twice a day. That's not,
right.
to me, an inspiring factor. But I could see someone or something to hug as part of your lifestyle. Is
Yeah,
that?
I know. Like that was the first thing I thought of when I heard all those animals. And we got our rescue during COVID, and it took us
Mm.
a few extra months to get her because there was such, you know, they
Supply
were
and
good.
demand thing.
I mean, it was like, yeah, I had to be on computer like checking every minute, and we, you know, in order to get her, and we lost a couple other ones. They were
Mm.
gone in minutes. But yeah, I think that people thought that it was because people were home more that they
Mm-hmm.
were getting them. But I think I think for the reason that you're saying,
Okay.
or if they didn't know it, they knew it after the
Okay.
fact.
Interesting. So, how things tied, folks. Sometimes I do get something out of these meetings, and a little bit of commercial break. That if you do or don't. By the way, if you don't, if you think it's silly stuff, let us know also, because we'll learn more from that. And any tools I can bring to the table to quiz and push up against Lizzy, I'm more than happy to take advantage of.
Bring it,
But
bring it, bring it.
oh, see, this is what I'm saying. This is what I have to put up with, folks, on a regular basis. So we got maybe another 30 seconds to take this home. Any final words or thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
I mean, just, when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling, not so good, reach out to somebody in your family for a good hug. Hug yourself, hug your pet,
And how many?
free.
And how
For
much?
free. Hugs are free.
How many a day again? And how long?
Okay, 4 for survival, 8
Right.
for maintenance, and
Okay.
12 for growth. So
Ooh.
go for 12.
Okay. Go
And,
for 12.
again, you have yourself there with you all the time.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you very much, folks. Please share your comments, and we'll speak to you next. Is it today, Thursday at 8 o'clock? Yes.
Yes, it still is.
So
Have a
long, folks.
wonderful day, wonderful weekend, everybody.